Aloha! So this lecture video will discuss the addition and multiplication rules of probability. Let's begin. Learning objectives. So at the end of the lesson, students are expected to, letter A, explain the concepts of a random experiment, sample space, and event. B, find the probability of an event. C, explain the concept of mutually and non-mutually exclusive events. D, explain the concept of independent and dependent events. And last is solve the probability of an event using addition or multiplication rule. To begin, let's have first the basic concepts of probability by defining some terms. First, we have here random experiment. So random experiment, and it's an experiment or process for which the outcome cannot be projected and leads to several possible outcomes. So again, random experiment is an action or a process that leads to several possible outcomes. So let's have an example of a random experiment. First is the selection of two tools without replacement among a box of three tools. Second, drawing a card from a well-shuffled deck of cards. Another basic example of random experiment, we have tossing a coin rather, sorry, and second is rolling a die. Okay, another term that you need to remember is the sample space. So when we say sample space, it consists of all possible simple events or outcomes. So again, it is a list of all the possible outcomes. So that is sample space. Like example, rolling a die. So the possible outcomes we have in rolling a single die, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So all you need to do is list all possible outcomes and we call that the sample space. Next, we have the sample point, each element in the sample space. Okay, so again, in our example a while ago, rolling a die, the sample point we have 1 or 2 or 3 and so on. So again, each element in the sample space, we call it the sample point. Next is event, any subset of the sample space. So it's a subset of the sample space. So when we say again sample space, this is the list of all possible outcomes. So an event is the subset of the sample space. Example, again, rolling a die. So an event getting an odd numbers. So we have 1, 3, 5, which is part of the sample space. So that is an example of an event. Cardinality. Cardinality is the total number of the sample points. So in our example again, in rolling a die, what is the cardinality of the sample space? So the answer is 6. Since in rolling a single die, uh, I mean, a die has only 6 faces. So the total number of sample points or the cardinality of the sample space in rolling a single die is 6. Next, we have here the procedure first, roll one die, example of event. So we have 5, and the sample space in rolling one die, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, according to our example here, 5 is an example of simple event. Why is that? Because 5 cannot be broken. We cannot uh, broken down any further 5. Okay, because 5 is already part of, or we can already have 5 in as a possible outcomes. Next is roll 2 dice. So 7 daw is not a possible, not a simple event. Okay, why is that? It is because it can be broken into simpler events. Okay, so by the way, the sample space in rolling 2 dice, we have the cardinality of rolling 2 dice is 36. Why is it 36? Because you can have, on the first row you can have one, second row you can have one, then so 1 1 1 2 1 3. So the total number of the sample points is 36. So in rolling 2 dice, 7 is not again a simple event because it can be broken into simpler components. Like for example, 3 and 4, 6 and 1. However, 5 we can we cannot we can um, broken that any further because it's already in the sample space. Okay. Now, what is probability? So probability deals with the chance of an event to occur. So this is when we hear the word probability, more likely ang pumapasok sa isip natin is the chance of an event to occur. So that's correct. Also, it's a measure that is associated with how certain we are of outcomes of a particular experiment or activity. So that is probability. So we have here an illustration of probability, of how probability works. So we have here impossible, unlikely, even chance, likely, certain. Now let's have a better understanding of probability by knowing its properties. So first we have here the probability of an event now is between 0 to 1, wherein 0 to 1 is included. Okay? So, ang ibig sabihin lang nito class, if an event, if the probability of an event is equal to 0, the event cannot occur. Again, if your answer is 0, while getting the probability, if the interpretation of that is that that event cannot occur. Okay. However, if the probability is equal to 1, then the event occurs every time. So that's the interpretation. Otherwise, the probability is a fraction or decimal between 0 to 1. And please take note, ano po, probabilities are expressed as reduced fraction. Again, if you will answer problem sets or quiz, long tests, ano po, your answer must be expressed in reduced fractions. Pwede naman po in decimal. So in decimal, you can have 2 or 3 decimal places. You can round it off to 2 to 3 decimal places. And also, you can write it in percentage. Okay, so meron tayong tatlo. Again, in fraction, decimal, or in percentage. Next, we have here the sum of the probabilities is the sum of an event is uh, equal to 1. So this means that the list of all possible outcomes must be non-overlapping set of events that includes all the possible outcomes. Okay, so it's non-overlapping events, and all the possible outcome must be present, and the total of that or the sum of that is equal to 1. Next is, this is what we call the complementary events. Okay, so meaning to say we have here the probability of an event to occur plus the probability of an event not to occur is equal to 1. So according to the properties for complementary event, so that's the probability of an event to occur plus the probability of an event not to occur is equal to 1. Like for example, again, rolling a die, an event of getting an odd numbers. So the probability of getting an odd numbers, we had 3 over 6. Because the we have again the denominator is the cardinality of the sample space, which is 6, and the probability that, or the number of the an odd numbers we have in rolling a die, we have 1, 3, and 5, so that's a total of 3, so that's 3 over 6. And then the probability of not getting an odd numbers, okay, so that's the complement of an event, so we have also 2, 4, 6, so that's also a total of 3, so that's also 3 over 6, the probability of not getting an odd number. So we have 3 over 6, so 3 over 6 plus 3 over 6, that is equal to 1. So that is the complementary events. So yun yung ibig sabihin na complementary events. Alright, so now let's proceed with the rule 1, which is all about the classical approach to probability. Okay, so the the classical approach to probability, we have here two assumptions. First, that the outcome must be mutually exclusive. When we say mutually exclusive class, again, it means that no outcomes can occur at the same time. So that is mutually exclusive. Second, the outcomes must are equally likely to occur. Okay. Um, we have here the formula. So assume that a given procedure has S different simple events and that each of those simple events has an equal chance of occurring. If event A can occur in E of these ways, then the probability of an event is equal to the number of ways A can occur over the number of different simple events, or it is denoted by N of E over N of S. Okay, so example of classical approach we can have, for instance, when a single die is rolled, each outcome has a probability of occurring. Right? Since there are six outcomes, okay, so each outcome has a probability of 1 over 6. Like for example, what is the probability of getting a 1? So the probability of getting a 1 is 1 over 6 in rolling a single die. Also the same with getting a 2. So the probability of getting a 2 is also 1 over 6. So that is classical approach to probability. Second is the relative frequency approach. Okay? When we say relative frequency approach naman, it's actually based on the accumulated historical data. So it's conduct or observe a procedure a large a number of times and count the number of times that event A actually occurs. So based on this actual results, the probability of an event is estimated as follows. So the number of times A occurred over the number of times trial was repeated. Um, let's have an example of a relative frequency approach. Um, the probability that it will rain today is 80% because it rained for 4 days in the past 5 days. So since alam natin na umulan 4 beses for uh 5 days already, so that's 4/5. So there is an 80 chance na uulan today. That is based on the accumulated historical data. So we call it that is rule number two, relative frequency approach. All right, so let's proceed now with addition rule. So addition rule expressed as K. So this is the notation we have for addition rule, and it reads as the probability that either event A occurs or event B occurs or they both occur as a single outcome of a procedure. So that is again addition rule. Okay, so the technique here is when you see the word or when you see the conjuncture or so that's an indication that that is an addition rule. Okay, so if you see the conjunction or, okay, so that's an indication that we will operate an addition rule. So again, for addition rule, that's the probability that either A occurs or event B occurs or they both occur. So we have here the formula. So that's the probability of, so this is our notation, ano po. So pinalitan lang natin yung conjunction ng or ng union. So A union B is equal to the probability of event A occurs plus the probability of B occurs or they both occur. So uh that's the formula. Okay. So again, this is the formula we have for the addition rule. Now, for addition rule, meron tayong dalawang case. First is if the event do not have common sample point. Again, um, ang tawag natin sa kanya, if they do not have common sample point, they are said to be mutually exclusive. Okay? Walang nauulit na uh, sample point sa event A at sa event B. And we call it mutually exclusive event. Okay, so let's have an example. Selecting a day of the week. So a day of the week is selected at random. Find the probability that it is weekend day. So a day of the week is selected at random. Find the probability that it is weekend day. So first we need to know the cardinality of the sample space. So how many days we have in a week? So we have 7. So that is our denominator. So how many weekends do we have? So we have 2. That is Saturday and Sunday. So what is the probability, okay, that it is Sunday or Saturday muna, Saturday. So that is 1 over 7. And then what is the probability that it is Sunday? That is also 1 over 7. So the probability of that it is weekend day is 2 over 7. Okay? So Saturday or Sunday, so yun lang naman yung weekend natin. So the probability that it is weekend day, we have here 1 over 7 for Saturday plus 1 over 7 for Sunday. Add natin siya, 1 over 7 plus 1 over 7, that is equal to 2 over 7. So the answer for this example is 2 over 7. All right, so let's proceed. Another example. What is the probability that it will be a single that in a single toss of two dice, the sum will be 3 or 7? So we have here the first event that is the sum daw is 3 And the second event here is the sum is 7. Since we have here the conjuncture or, so this is an addition rule. Now, alamin natin kung on the first event, what is the probability that the sum will be 3? So we need to look. So the cardinality here is 36. Okay, so the cardinality here is 36. Okay, so the cardinality here, so let me just use my pen tab. Okay, so the probability that the sum will be 3. Okay, ano ba yun? Okay, so meron tayo dito on the first, the uh, possible outcomes we have here. Okay, the sum will be 3, so that would be this one, 2 plus 1, so the sum is 3. Meron na tayong isa. And then this one, 1 plus 2. So ito lang yung probability, ito lang yung outcomes na mayroon tayo that the sum will be 3. So meron tayong 2 out of 36. So again, the sum will be 3. Okay, wala nang iba. That is only 2 plus 1 and then 1 plus 2. So that is the probability of that the sum will be 3. So sulat natin P. So that would be 3 or 7. Okay? So that would be equal to, dito na tayo sa baba. So the sum will be 3. That is 2 over, again, the total number of the sample space, or the cardinality of the sample space is 36. So that is 2 over 36 plus, since it is or, the sum will be 7. So hanap tayo ng possible outcomes na sum niya ay 7. So that would be 6 plus 1, isa, 5 plus 2, dalawa, 4 plus 3, tatlo, 3 plus 4, apat, 2 plus 5, lima, 1 plus 6, pang-anim. So, mayroon tayong 6 possible outcomes that the sum will be 7. So, we will have here 6 over 36. So, add natin siya, 2 over 36 plus 6 over 36. What will be the result? So, using your calculator, again, 2 over 36 plus 6 over 36. So, you will have, since again, we need to express our answer in reduced fraction, the answer we will get is 2 over 9. So, the probability that in a single toss of 2 dice, the sum will be 3 or 7 is 2 over 9. Again, class, you need to reduce your answer as you need to express your answer as a reduced fraction. Pero pag nagso-solve kayo, wag nyo na munang i-simplify. So, isi-simplify nyo siya sa final answer na. Apo. Okay, so let's proceed. Let's proceed with the general addition rule. Okay, so for the general addition rule, so we have here the same thing. It's an or, pero they have a common, at least if the events have at least one common sample point, then they are said to be non-mutually exclusive. So mayroong common na element from the event A and event B. So ito yung formula natin for that. So we will have, i-add natin yung event A and then yung event B, tapos i-minus natin yung common element sa kanila. Okay? So This notation here denotes that the probability of A and B both occur at the same time as an outcome in a trial or procedure. So, ito yung common element sa A and B. So, ima-minus natin siya. Okay? Alright, so let's proceed. So, let's have an example. Okay, what is the probability of getting a sum of 5 or a sum greater than 4 in throwing 2 dice? So the first event is getting a sum of 5. Again, the first event here is getting a sum of 5. The second event is a sum that is greater than 4 in throwing 2 dice. So first, oops, let's go back to our listing doon sa ating sample space para mas maliwanagan tayo. Ano po? So, getting a sum of 5. Okay? So, erase ko muna ito. So, getting a sum of 5. So, ilan yung probability that you will get a sum of 5? Okay, so sum of 5 we have here 4 plus 1 isa, 3 plus 2 isa, 2 plus 3 isa, and then 1 plus 4. So the probability of getting a sum of 5 is 4 out of 36. Okay? And then, a probability that it is greater than 4. Okay? Greater than 4. Ano daw yung probability that it's greater than 4? Okay? So, greater than 4, meron lang tayong 1, 1, 1, 2. Ito hindi. 1, 1 hindi. Siya greater than 4. 2 lang to. 1, 3, hindi din siya greater than 4. 3 is hindi siya pasok. Dapat greater than 4. 2, 1, hindi din. Okay? So, ilan kaya? Okay? So, bibilangin natin lahat ng sum that is greater than 4. Okay? So, balik na tayo dito kasi meron naman akong sagot. So, we have here the probability of getting a sum of 5 plus the probability of that is greater than 4 minus, actually may common element sa kanila. So, ayun yung isusubtract natin. Okay? Alright. So, we have here for the probability of getting a 5. So, kanina, na-compute natin that it's 4, or nakita natin that's the probability is 4 over 36. And then, the probability of getting a, uh, a, a sum that is greater than 4, it's 30 over 36 minus 4 over 36. So, balikan natin yung ating, so the answer for that is 30 over 36. So, balikan natin to. Okay? So, bakit ba 30 over 36 yung sagot? Or in simplest form, sorry, hindi ko na-reduce. So, the answer should be 5 over 6. Ano po? Okay. So, again, getting a sum of 5, have here 1, 2, 3, 4. So, the probability of that is 4 over 36. Plus, a sum that is greater than 4. So, alin lang dito yung pasok doon sa condition. So, ito hindi. 1, 1, hindi. Kasi ang sum niya ay 2. 1, 2, hindi din. 1, 3, 4 siya. So, hindi siya pasok. That should be greater than 4, not equal to 4. 2, 2, hindi din siya pasok. So, meron na tayong 1, 2, 3, 4 na hindi pasok. 2 plus 1, hindi din siya. 3 plus 1, hindi din siya. So, meron tayong 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 na hindi pasok. Ano? So, ibig sabihin, i-minus lang natin since alam natin na ang cardinality niya is 36. So, 36 minus 6. Okay? So, we will have 30 possible outcomes and then over 36. Now, bakit tayo nag-minus? Kasi doon sa 4, doon sa sum that is greater than 4, naulit natin itong bilangin, itong the sum is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, since naulit siya, according to the general rule, so we need to subtract it as well. So, that is 4 over 36. Okay? Naulit kasi siyang bilangin natin. Okay? Etong 1, 4, 2, 3, 3, 2, 4, 1, part din siya ng the sum that is greater than 4. So, naulit siya. So, since naulit siya, so according to our general rule, ito yung susundin nating formula. So, the probability of event A, that's probability of getting a sum of 5 plus the probability of getting a sum that is greater than 4 minus the common element sa kanila, which is eto nga, yon yung naulit natin na bilangin, na event, naulit na event. So, 4 over 36, so that's a total of 30 over 36, or, so, ang final answer natin ay 5 over 6. Again, our final answer should be 5 over 6. Pag 30 over 6 yung sagot natin, again, that's incorrect. But, so your answer must be expressed in reduced fraction. Okay, so another example tayo. So, a single card is drawn from a deck. Find the probability that is king or club. So, sa mga hindi masyadong nagsusugal, so sa isang ordinary deck of cards, so meron tayong 12, 13 na diamonds, 13 na hearts, 13 na clubs, and 13 na spades. Okay? Meron tayong, sa mga face cards, meron tayong king, queen, and jack. And then, ano pa ba? Meron tayong letter cards, that's alas, and then still jack, king, and queen. So sa kada uh, for example sa alas, okay, meron tayong apat. Okay, so again, that's uh, um, ace of heart, ace of diamonds, ace of spades, and ace of uh, hearts. So yun. So ace of hearts, ace of diamonds, ace of spades, ace of clubs. So yun yung mga meron tayo. Now here, a single card is drawn from a deck. Find the probability that it is a king or a club. So a king, so meron tayong apat na king. So ilan ba yung total number of I mean, what is the total number of what is the cardinality of the sample space? So, the deck of cards, that's a total of 52. 52 sample points. So, we have here 4 out of 52. So, meron tayong apat na king. That's for king of hearts, king of diamond, king of spade, king of club. Now, since it's or, so add tayo, or a club. So, it's or a club. So, meron tayong 13. Ano po? Meron tayong 13 na baraha na club. So that's 13 over 52. Pero may common ba? May common ba sa kanila, sa king at club? Meron, 'di ba? That is the king of club. So naulit siya. So this is an example of non-mutually exclusive event. So gamitin natin yung general addition rule. So ilan ba yung king na club? Isa lang naman. So minus 1 over 52. So we have here, using your calculator, 4 over 52 plus 13 over 52 minus 1 over 52. The answer is, in reduced fraction, we have here 4 over 13. So the answer for this given example is 4 over 13. So in decimal, you can have point 31 or 0.308. Okay? So that is pwede kayong that's that you can, or you can have in decimal 0.31. So isa lang na decimal, two decimal places lang sa akin. 0.31. So that's acceptable. Ano po? So, again, class ha, please take note. According to our property ha, since we are talking about probability here, your answer must not exceed to 1 and it should not be negative. Ano po? Kasi according to our probability, the probability is between probability of an event to occur is between 0 to 1, wherein you can have 0 and you can have also 1. Pero dapat hindi lumagpas sa 1 at hindi siya mag-negative. So pag may sagot kayong negative or sumobra ng 1, of course, automatic, alam niyo na sa sarili niyo na mali yung sagot niyo. Kasi dapat it's between 0 to 1 only, wherein 0 and 1 are included. Okay, next we have here the independent event. So we will now enter the multiplication rule. For the multiplication rule, we have here the independent events. So when we say independent events, two events are said to be independent if the occurrence of one does not affect the probability of the occurrence of the other. Okay, so uh, hindi naman naapektuhan yung pangalawang uh, trial doon sa, for example, meron na gumawa ka ng experiment on your first trial, kaya hindi naman apektuhan yung second trial mo, then we call it the independent events. Okay, so this is the formula we have, or the formula we have for multiplication rule. So that's the probability of an event A times the probability of an event B. So we usually denote it by the intersection. Ano po? Okay, so event A occurs in the first trial and event B occurs on the second trial. So here, we use the conjunction and. Okay, please take note. Pag and na yung nakita yung conjunction, then we will use the multiplication rule. Okay, a moment here. Okay, example for independent event. So two cards are drawn in succession with replacement. What is the probability of drawing an ace on the first draw and face card on the second draw? Okay? So when we say class with replacement, ibig sabihin, bumunot ka, okay, bumunot ka, pero binalik mo lang naman. So, ang tawag natin doon ay with replacement. So, two cards are drawn in succession with replacement. What is the probability of drawing an ace on the first draw and face card on the second draw? Okay, so the first event is a probability of drawing an ace on the first draw. So ilan yung ace na meron tayo? So meron tayong apat. So the probability of getting an ace is 4 over 52. Again, yung denominator natin is the cardinality of the sample space or the total number of the sample points. So since we use here the conjunction "and," so we will multiply times the probability that you will get the face card on the second draw. Since binalik naman yung card na unang nabunot, so hindi naman maapektuhan yung ating yung second trial. So hindi naman maapektuhan yung cardinality natin or the total number of sample points natin kasi binalik nga naman. So, what is the probability of getting a face card? So, yung face card natin, we have Jack, King, and Queen. So, yung Jack meron tayong apat, yung Queen meron tayong apat, yung King meron tayong apat. So, 3 times 4, that's a total of 12 cards. 12 face cards. So, that's 12 over 52. Now, using your calculator, okay, so that would be 4 over 52 divide times 12 over 52. So the answer is, as in reduced fraction, we have 3 over 169. So again, the probability of drawing an ace on the first draw and face card on the second draw is 3 over 69. Alright, so let's proceed with another example. Okay, so meron madami ito. So an urn contains 3 red balls, 2 blue balls, and 5 white balls. A ball is selected and its color noted. Then it's replaced. So again, binalik ulit. A second ball is selected and its color noted. Find the probability of each of these. Selecting 2 balls, 2 blue balls. Letter B, selecting 1 blue ball and then white ball. Selecting 1 red ball and then 1 blue ball. Okay, so let's start with letter A, selecting 2 blue balls. So first we need to count what is the cardinality of the sample space. So we have 3, 2, 5. So that's a total of 10. So the cardinality is 10. So that is our denominator. So what is on the first drawdown, what is the probability that it's blue? So that ilang blue ba meron tayo? 2. So that would be 2 over 10 times, since binalik, wala namang magbabago sa ating cardinality. So again, on the second draw, what is the probability that you will get again blue? So since binalik nga naman, so still, we have here 2 over 10. So, multiply natin using our calculator. 2 over 10 times, okay, 2 over 10. The answer is 1 over 25. Next, selecting 1 blue ball and then 1 white ball. So on the first draw, what is the probability of getting blue ball? So again, that's 2 over 10 since it is replaced. So binalik lang naman. Hindi again ulit maapektuhan yung pangalawang trial, which is getting a 1 white ball. And then, what is the probability of getting a 1 white ball? So, ilan ba yung white ball na meron tayo? 5. So, the probability of getting white balls on the second draw is 5 over 5 over 10. Okay? So, multiply lang natin siya since we have here the conjunction end. So, we will use the multiplication rule. So, 2 over 10 times 5 over 10. So, the answer here is 1 over 10. Next is selecting one red ball and then one blue ball. So, dito na lang ako sa taas. Okay? Selecting one red ball. So, the red ball we have here three red balls. So, 3 over 10 is the probability of getting a red ball on the first draw times on the second draw, we can have 2 over 10 probability of getting blue ball. Okay, so we will have here 3 over 10 times 2 over 10. So the probability of getting red ball and blue ball is 3 over 50. Okay, so that's how you solve problem for independent events. Okay, so that's for multiplication rule. Now, if we have independent events, we also have dependent events. For dependent events, so when the outcome or occurrence of the first event affects the outcome or occurrence of the second event in such a way that the probability is changed, the event are said to be dependent events. Okay, so there is um uh there is a change ano po, on the second trial because of the first trial. So yun yung tawag doon ay dependent events. Okay, so we call it this is the formula we have for the uh, dependent events. We call it the formal multiplication rule. So if A and B are independent events, okay, so this notation here is just the same as the probability of event B. Ano po? It's just that there is a changes because of the first trial. So that is our notation lang. Hindi siya divide it's just the same it is just the same as the probability of an event p. Hindi tayo magde-divide doon. Okay, like let's have an example to better understand um, dependent events for multiplication or for the formal multiplication rule. So drawing cards, 3 cards are drawn from an ordinary deck and not replaced. Find the probability of first getting 3 jacks, okay? Letter B, getting a club, a spade, and a heart in order. Getting an ace, a king, and a queen in order. So on this given example, we need to draw 3 cards, and according to our instruction, according to our example, it is not replaced. So ibig sabihin, bumunot ka pero hindi mo na siya binalik. Ano pa? So now, what is the probability of getting 3 jacks? On the first draw, what is the probability of getting a jack? So that is 4 over 52. So that is the probability of getting on the first draw kasi you need to bunot 3 cards. So first draw, the probability of getting a jack is 4 over 52. So times, okay. On the second draw, okay, what is the probability of getting jack ulit daw? Okay? Since nabunot na natin yung isang jack, so the probability of getting a jack on the second draw is 3 over 51. Kasi nga, yung una natin binunot, which is jack, hindi na natin siya binalit. Okay? So the probability of getting jack on the second draw is 3 over 51 times the probability again of getting Jack on the on the third draw. We have 2 over 50. Okay? Kasi nga again, bakit nagbabawas tayo? Okay, kasi yung una natin binunot, hindi na natin binalik. So, mababawasan yung total number ng sample points natin or the total number of or the cardinality of the sample space. So, mababawasan siya. So, we will have here 3 over 51 and then 2 over 50. Now, using your calculator, that's 4 over 52 times 3 over 51 times 2 over 50. So the answer for letter A is 1 over 5,525. Okay, so that is the probability of getting 3 shacks. So let's proceed with letter B. Getting a club, a spade, and a heart. So what is the probability of getting a club on the first draw? So ilang bang club meron tayo? So you have 13 over 52 times a spade. So on the second draw, what is the probability of getting a spade? Okay, so the probability of getting a spade is also 13 over, pero since yung unang binunot natin, hindi na natin binalik, so mababawasan yung ng isa yung card. So magkakaroon na lang tayo ng 51. So 13 over 51 times, okay, a heart. And a heart and a heart on the third draw. So, ilan ba yung heart in a deck of card? Ilan yung probability makakuha tayo ng card in a deck of card? So, we also have 13. Pero, bawas na din siya ng isa. So, that would be 50. So, using again your calculator, 13 over 52 times 13 over 51 times 13 over 50. So we will have here the probability of getting a club, spade, and a heart in order is 169 over 10,200. Okay, so that is the probability of getting a club, a spade, and a heart in order. So basically, kung makikita nyo, ano po, sa dependent events na problem, ang naapektuhan dito ay yung denominator. Ano po? Kasi there's a changes happened because of the first trial. Kasi nga hindi na binalik yung card na nabunot. So mababawasan tayo ng card. Okay? Next, getting an ace, a king, and a queen in order. So, what is the probability of getting an ace? So, that is 4 over 52. So, that's the first draw. Times a king. So, ilan ba yung probability makakuha tayo ng king? That's also 4 over. Pero since bawasan na tayo ng isang card, so that's over 51 times a queen. Queen natin, meron din tayong 4. So, that's 4 over. Ilan na lang? 50. So, we will have here 4 over 52. Oops. Alright, just give me 1 second. Nawala siya. 4 over... Saan na tayo? Ayun, eto. Oops. Okay. So, 4 over 52 times 4 over 51 times 4 over 50. So we have here 8 over, so that's 8 over 16,575. So that is the probability of getting an ace, a king, and a queen in order. Okay. Alright, so another example tayo. Okay, suppose a box contains 20 bulbs of 5 which are defective. What is the probability of drawing at random 2 defective bulbs in succession if the first bulb that has been drawn is not returned before making the second draw? Okay, what is the probability of drawing at random 2 defective bulbs in succession if the first bulb that has been drawn is not returned before making the second draw? Okay, so meron tayong a total of 20 bulbs in a box. So that is that's the total number of sample points na meron tayo. Okay, and 5 of which daw are defective. So what is now the probability that uh, what is the probability of drawing at random 2 defective bulbs, okay, in succession if the first bulb that has been drawn is not returned before making the second draw? Okay, so we have here on the first draw, we can have 5 over 20 as the first probability. Sa first nating bunot, ang probability na makakuha tayo ng defective bulb ay 5 over 20. Okay? Times, okay? The probability that makakakuha ulit tayo ng sirang bulb ay ilan? Okay? We have 4 over 19. So, mabawasan na tayo ng isa kasi nga hindi na siya binalagay according to our example. So, that's 5 over 20 times 4 over 19. So, the probability that um, uh, probability of drawing at random 2 defective bulbs in succession if the first bulb that has been drawn is not returned before making the second draw is 1 over 90. Okay, so basically um, the answer for this given example. Okay, all right. So we're done with our discussion for the uh, addition and multiplication rules of probability. So if you have any questions or clarifications, don't hesitate to ask your subject teacher. Thank you very much for listening and have a great day.